What's up, everybody? This is the Rabid Hedgehog. I'm at Indian Motorcycle of Oklahoma City, which is 7 Northeast 10th Street in Oklahoma City. And look at what we have right there. That's right, it's the FTR. Now, this is not the S model, this is the base model FTR. So this is blacked out completely. Still a 1200cc engine. So the new setup just doesn't have the Akrapovic exhaust and the ride command system and all that fun stuff. Still great looking bike, still has the fuel tank actually under the seat starting there, and mostly an air box below, kind of similar to Night Rod. Similar horsepower to the Night Rod, 220 horsepower with 87 foot-pounds of torque. Let's take a look around here. Alrighty, so the base one has the normal, as you can see, Indian clock that comes on all the Scouts. Very upright position. Straight out bars, pro tapers actually. Kind of reminds me of my old XT250 with the way that was laid out. Of course, you got your on-off switch here. This is actually on this side. You scroll through here so you get your engine temperature, miles per gallon average, instant miles per gallon, tachometer, trips, all that fun stuff. Of course, you got your gear indication, your clock on the bottom. You do have your flash to pass here, and you click it on for full bright. Cruise control here. Of course, left and right turn signal, self-canceling after a time, and horn. So pretty much easy setup. You actually hold this one down to get going. So let's get that side stand up, which it does have that side stand warning lamp. Now it does have chassis issue. Light warning light. It also has your bright selection, your turn signals, fuel, and like I said, that side stand and engine warning light. And of course, it will have a cruise control standby idle light as well, and that's going to be down there as indicated. Alrighty. Engine is on. It's actually as quiet as Big Brother Scout or Little Brother Scout now, because this is the biggest of them, being 1200cc versus the old 1130. Like I said, this is a taller bike. I mean, I've got that 31-inch inseam, and you can see my feet are all the way to the ground, but they're straight out. Absolutely straight out on both sides to reach the ground. And like I said, it does have a set of rear sets, pretty much. Definitely a more sporting bike. And of course, that steel trellis frame, everything makes it look way more sporting than typical. Woo! Clutch response is right off, and it is cable operated as well. Okie dokie, I can already feel some spunk in this machine. Engine braking does not suffer from the previous models, still just as good. So when you're up and in the riding position, it's very reminiscent of your sport standards or your sport nakeds, only you're a little bit more hunkered down. So you're kind of in between sport standard and sport bike in a way, because you're not quite straight up and down. You are pretty much straight down on your arms and everything toward the bars, and the feet come up and bend back toward your shoulder. But they're not in a full rear set, so it's close to mid. It's just slightly back from mid, it feels like for me. But it's actually a really comfortable position. The seat has a little bit of a hump between it and the pillion seat, so that way you do have a smidge of a backstop for your back end, so that way you don't go flying off this thing. This thing feels so incredibly narrow and light too. Just sitting on it for these couple of blocks, it's completely throwing me off. I've rode many regular Scouts, you know, and you got your fists in the wind and your feet out forward. And this one's just a little bit more narrow and compact, it feels like, than the regular Scout. It's very light too. It feels so light. Really easy to stand on one foot at a stoplight on this bike. And of course, what better day to test it than being like 85 degrees and in traffic. That way you know if this little bad boy can make it through city traveling just fine. I can tell you, for somebody as tall as me, I'm 6 foot even, I come way out above the bike. I sit really tall on it, so pretty much I'm looking down at the mirrors. The mirrors are very good for visibility as well because they're so wide out on these bars. I do see a little bit of my elbows, but other than that, that's all I got. Chassis feels so light and nimble too. And the engine is smooth power with an attitude. Let's take her around. Man, there's like no input needed. These are not very big turns, but This feels so weird. It feels like I'm flying because I sit so tall. I don't see the bike below me, so it feels like I'm floating in a way. It's so unnaturally feeling. I don't mind it though. Now with all the horsepower on this, and this is also a chain drive too, versus the standard Scout's belt drives. So you don't have as much parasitic drag on the engine in terms of delivering power to the rear wheel, which makes things a little bit more fantastic. God, this thing is stable, but it feels so flickable. Man, I need some better places to test this one right now because I just want to go tear up a track right now. That thing takes off just fine. So we're at highway speed now. We're doing 70 miles an hour, and we're at a total RPM of around 4,000 RPM. So it doesn't turn and churn as much as its other Scout sibling, which is around 4,200 to 4,300 in this setting. Once again, this does have cruise control. You simply tap it, and then you push down on it to set it to the speed that you want to go, which I have done. When you do that, you get the arrow and then the little icon, and then it, you know, besides just the standard one. So yeah, it works great. And you can also, of course, control the speed up and down with your left thumb while you're riding. It's in a perfect position for that, especially my hands. I have 2XL hands. If you wear gloves all the time, you kind of get an idea how big these paws are I have. And everything is so reachable for me. So for me, ergonomically, this is a beautiful bike. With the cruise control on, this thing is beautifully stable. I mean, this is absolutely insane. Now, the suspension, of course, has changed. You have 5 inches of suspension travel on this motorcycle, and you definitely feel it. This motorcycle feels so good going over these concrete blocks. Usually on a regular Scout, you're kind of bucking like a horse. You're going dun 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 dun. This one just absorbs it completely and rides so beautifully smooth over them. This is like the Scout refined. I hope they bring this engine to the regular Scout, because this little bad boy is a monster. And as tall as you are, you have a commanding presence on the road. You feel like you can see over everything. I mean, I'm looking over this XC60 and this Land Rover Discovery almost perfectly. It's wonderful. This thing roars. Top gear pull is amazing. Not even taxing this motorcycle whatsoever. Went ahead and up the cruise control on this bad boy here. It just feels so wrong to have this much power and not being able to play with it. This much power and maneuverability, and you can't take it out and play with it in the canyons. Dadgum you, Oklahoma, sometimes. Dadgum you. And you can easily stand on the pegs on this bike, as you can see. I'm an old dirt rider, so I appreciate that ability. So well balanced. I mean, you just literally flick your wrist and flick, you know, you just flick what you want to do here, flick in a direction, it's going to go. and it's so stable. The front end and everything is just planted. Very good stability. Now to me, it sounds exactly like the standard Scout. It doesn't have anything different in the sound. Top gear pull is so amazing. The other Scout is great, but this one in top gear, 3,600 RPMs, it feels like you're dead on in the power band where you need to be. So when you flick your wrist, it just goes and goes. The fueling on this bike is fantastic as well. Very linear. And it's just amazing. Like I said, it's so flickable. Like I just flicked my hip just then and the thing turned into the lane. You don't even have to put any input in on the steering mechanisms because it's just so light-footed. It almost thinks, it almost thinks about where you're going to go with it and just already heads there. It's like amazing like that. And handling these city streets, you're only pulling 2,700 RPMs at 45 miles an hour in 6th gear. But then you rip it, and it just rips and starts going again. It's got power there. It's got power low, it's got power mid. Engine braking is, once again, fantastic. I'll make that note again. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. This is a joy to ride. This doesn't feel like an American cruiser. This feels like a duck monster. In fact, to me, I think it has a little bit more pull than a duck monster. Maybe not the biggin, but it feels great. And it's just so light-footed. Now that I've been riding on it, we're going to take a look here. Oh, I'm so used to the regular Scout. Let's get back over here. Okay, so riding around, we're at 172 degree engine temperature, and I'm starting to feel a little bit of heat coming through on the right shin. Of course, that is where the exhaust is exiting, and of course they have a heat shield there, but usually heat shields do a little more than be a decorative piece, in my opinion, because you still get the heat coming off of that. So I definitely do feel the heat coming. Oh my gosh. This thing is a monster. Oh yeah. Woohoo. This thing accelerates so well. It is so light on its feet. It's so snappy on the throttle. It is like perfection. I mean, it's perfectly sized for me. I don't feel cramped. I don't feel like my legs are up too high and hurting my hip or anything like that. It doesn't feel like your standard sport bikes or even some sport nakeds where I'm tucked in just a little bit too much and it starts bothering my right side, especially my hip. So now, this bike like totally replaces those issues. It's definitely American sized. And this power, this engine is so dadgum good. And the thrust it produces, the smoothness of the transmission, the ease of this clutch. This clutch is a one-finger clutch. Look, not even trying. Of course, it is cable actuated as well. And the responsiveness, such a crisp release and everything. It's just a fantastic piece of resistance. Every first-year Indian I have ever rode, from the Chieftains to the Scouts to, everything that comes out, this is a first-year effort, first-month effort for these being out. And this bike is perfection. Like, there is no reason a motorcycle company should be able to hit it out of the park every time with first round bikes. There are other American motorcycle manufacturers, not naming them HD, but they never get it right on the first year, ever. There's always something weird with it, and they're always adjusting it afterward. So the first year Milwaukee 8s and stuff like that, there was always something going on. The first year streets, the first year, you know, of these other motorcycles. And this one is just fantastically put together. Very good fit and finish as well. Like I said, I love these pro tapers as well. It kind of reminds me of my dirt days. It kind of reminds me of that XT250 and how it was. Oh, and these brakes are fantastic. I haven't mentioned these things, but golly, you could stand up and do a stoppie with them if you do it right. Let's get up to the other side. Oh, yeah. This bike is sick. FYI, Rabid Hedgehog is not a paid endorser of the dealership or Indian Motorcycles. Just a madman having an amazing time right now with this motorcycle. If I get another one, I'm going to get a bullet to my head. I don't think my wife could take it anymore. But having a motorcycle in the garage is X plus 1. X equals motorcycles current and motorcycles needed. That's awesome. This bike is fantastic. It handles the interstate just fine too. I can see why they offer those different packs and stuff, because they have like a touring pack for it. They have some other things that you can buy, some accessories, and it has like different things. And I mean, I could see how it can be adapted to these different modes of travel. And this isn't even the S model. This is just the base. The S, of course, has that big ride command system on it as well. And you know, with that, you add a little bit more, and a race replica even has a different tuned ECU, so you're going to have a little bit different power response. But this thing is sick and perfect, and handling this horrifying ramp and entrance onto the interstate blazingly fast. God, this thing's amazing. I don't think I've been happier on a motorcycle in a bit. I think the last bike that made me this happy was the Griso. Ah, dang it, too many bikes. So many bikes to get. This is definitely a must buy. I will say as well that, I mean, it is worth a little bit of extra bump to get to this bike. It's worth $14. It definitely is. God, this thing just rides so superbly. It's so smooth, and the power is effortless, but you still feel the machine. It's not so precise that you just feel air going, you know, around you. It actually feels like you're on a machine, and there's nothing wrong with that. When you're on a bike this exciting, you want to be able to know that you're on a machine, that you're enjoying this machine, and this machine has it all. It has a little bit of rumble, a little bit of vibration, but it's so smooth at the same time. And it's just, you just know it's there, but you also have so much you could play with, so much room to play with too. There's a lot of performance in this bike that I'm simply not able to take advantage of because Oklahoma is such flat and straight terrain. But it rides so beautifully that I know that if I took this to canyon carving territory, I'd be able to carve it up just fine, be able to touch down some pegs and have a great time, and do it at a very, very decent clip. I mean, the tires that are on this, of course, are replica of the flat track style tire, but they offer amazing and superb grip despite the shape and the way it's done. It's just such a great machine, and like I said, with that 5 inches of travel in your suspension, it's such a comfortable bike to ride around too. I don't feel any complaints or jolting. Like on a regular Scout, you only have 3 inches of travel and you feel it. And on the Bobber, you have 2 inches of travel and you really feel it. So this one definitely is the Scout refined in a way That's phenomenal. Of course, I love these grips, like the old school dirt trackers. This is just, I love the homage. I love the way this bike feels, and I want more. I want to be able to take this thing out for a long, long time and tear up a track too. This is like the American track day bike right here, and it would do it just fine. Simply an amazing bike once again, Indian. Simply amazing. You guys keep doing what you're doing, because I want the competition to get this stiff, so that way another company across the road will figure out how to start making some beautiful bikes again. Some riders' machines. Because this dadgum thing is a riding machine, and it's for the legitimate rider that wants to play. But it's also for the casual rider who wants to just cruise as well. It does well in both respects. It has power for both, and it definitely is rideable for both. So if you're looking for a fantastic motorcycle that can go some long ranges and also be comfortable and also take you to the track day and also do all these other things, you're looking right at it. This bike is fantastic. It rips, it snorts. It sounds like a V-twin. It is a V-twin, and it is an amazing, amazing machine. So once again, I'd like to give a shout out to Indian of Oklahoma City for letting the Rabid Hedgehog and his team take these bikes out for rides. And once again, we'll catch you on that next review, and y'all have a great day.